Hello and welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. I'm your host, Robin Hackney, and I'm so happy that you're here. This podcast is a place for conversations about balancing a healthy lifestyle and being happy. More specifically, happy hour. Together, we'll explore all things wellness and wine. I hope you learn a little, laugh a lot, and along the way, know you're not alone on this balanced wellness journey. Ready to jump in? Pour something in your glass that makes you happy because it's time for Spandex and Wine. Hello and welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. I'm your host, Robin Hackney. Summer's moving right along, heat and all, and so is the podcast Summer Tour. Our second stop was at Barley Vine, located on Main Street in Platte City, Missouri. You can't miss it, and you don't want to miss it. It's so close to Kansas City, but has the small town feel, and as you'll hear in today's episode, it still has the small town support as well. We'll start off with the owner, Lowry, and hear her story. She is quite the entrepreneur. Then we'll move on to a few individuals that were willing to come on and share a bit. Let's jump in. Well, hello and welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. Laura, thanks for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm excited to hear about everything that you guys do. You're the owner of Barley Vine up in Platte City and our second stop on the summer tour. So thank you for hosting us.
Absolutely. We are happy to always have people here. It's all about having fun and having great drinks.
Yeah. And you guys have such a beautiful atmosphere and a gorgeous upstairs. And I want to hear about, how long you've been around, what the story is behind you getting it started, because it's such an amazing place.
Oh, thanks. So we've been open about 7 months now, so still very new. I came to this kind of as like a second career in my life, I guess you would say. I'm originally a teacher by trade. I taught for 11 years, 8th grade English, if you can believe it.
Oh, wow. Special person there, middle school.
And I truly did. I loved the middle school students. So the grade level was perfect for me. But then, COVID hit and things were difficult as a teacher. And so just kind of, all the back and forth between like in-person and virtual and hybrid learning. And I kind of just got to a point where I was like, this isn't filling my cup anymore. And I had kind of started counting down to my retirement. And I was like, and talking about what I was going to do when I retired, which is ridiculous because I only had 11 years in. I'm like, I have a whole life to live, So I just, I took a step back. I definitely wasn't intending on it. It just kind of organically happens that way. And I had intended on just maybe going into the private sector of education, working with curriculum, textbooks, things like that, consulting. And I just didn't find anything that I felt passionate enough about to put my name behind. Mm-hmm. And so I had this kind of transition period where it was like, okay, I'm not a teacher. I was doing the stay-at-home mom thing. And I'm like, my God, if I'm not a teacher, what am I? It was like an identity crisis. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Your whole life, I'm like, I've got all these degrees. Like, I'm a teacher. Like, what am I? If I'm not a teacher, what? So kind of during that time, I found, I think, some comfort in reading about wine and watching documentaries and listening to podcasts. Same thing with beer, just to kind of fulfill my need to learn. I'm a lifelong learner. I love learning. So just kind of to feel like I was doing something for myself, I think. And then the opportunity came to open my own place here, and I just jumped in.
Yeah.
And there it was.
And I'm sure very exciting, but it's hard owning your own business. It's a tough road.
It really is. Yeah. I think today is a prime example. I'm rolling in here after I've been here this morning working. My kiddos are home from school right now. So ran my kiddos to do something fun with their friends, come back. I've eaten half of my lunch at this point. Pretty much partially completed just about everything I had planned in my day. So I really haven't completed anything. So yeah, it's It's definitely a lot. I think, as a teacher, I always felt like I was overworked consistently. And I probably work a lot more now than I did then.
Hmm.
However, there's a difference in working for yourself, and
Yep.
doing something that you really truly feel super passionate about. And so the opportunity to do the job that I'm passionate about is really great. And to spend the day speaking with people about wine and great beverages and making them happy as opposed to forcing them to write a paper,
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it is a lot. And there are days where I'm like, oh my gosh, but I'm working through it. I'm starting to get some balance in my schedule now, getting some routine after being open for about 7 months, starting to be able to departmentalize, to send tasks out to my employees as I've gotten to know them and figured out, which ones do well in which settings. And so that kind of situation. So we're getting there.
Yeah. Yeah. 7 months. I mean, it's such a phenomenal job. You have some fun activities or events rather. And then I saw you on the news the other day. So, I mean, you're getting a lot of activity.
Yes. Well, I mean, I kind of have to, if we
Yep.
aren't out there, if we're not on the news, if we're not in the paper, if we're not on social media, then who knows to come? We are in the business of being social, and therefore we must also, push out marketing in social areas. So
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like, I mean, you're doing so much of that work in the beginning. I feel like it's just going to be word of mouth from here. You're still going to have always that social piece that you're going to have to do the social media. But I mean, the way that you've grown so far, I mean, it's amazing. It's really good. And I want to know about also the products and everything that you do, because I know you're wine and beer.
yes. So we are a craft brewery. We brew on site. We've got 8 craft beers on tap at all times. That program rotates fairly frequently. So, every couple of weeks, you might come in and there's a new beer on tap. I have a brewer for that specifically. That part isn't necessarily mine. I have a wonderful brewer. His name is Billy. He does a fantastic job. Very much trust him to be in control of the beer program. And he just does a lot of other great and wonderful things around Barley and Vine in general, just to help out, which is so super valuable for me. But he makes wonderful beer. He came actually to us from retail. So this is a passion job for him as well. So it kind of really
Oh,
worked out nice
good.
that we're both kind of, pushing towards those passion careers, those second career in our life kind of situations. So yeah. And then we also offer, by the glass wines, about 15 options at any given time. 3 different flights. All of those are designed and created by me. I do all the tastings and lead the wine program side of things. We also have a retail store. So we've got, I don't know, 400-ish bottles of wine in our retail store available for sale. We do tastings, we do classes, we do just all sorts of stuff in terms of that.
Yeah.
And we've got great whiskey selections. So everything that we offer in general is nothing you're going to find in a grocery store. We're very big about trying to support some of those smaller family-owned vineyards, some of those smaller up-and-coming distilleries. So what we have in terms of whiskey, some of it's going to be allocated. You can't find very many places, or just you're not going to see it in commonplace. And then last week, we launched our cocktail program. So we now offer 3 different cocktails, just kind of some fun, practice as we're getting started, trying to introduce my staff to making cocktails kind of little at a time, so
Hmm.
baby
Hmm.
steps. So we have a French 75 that's made with pea flower gin that's delicious.
Yum.
We have a blueberry lemonade vodka that we call Summerberry Dreams. And then we have a whiskey sour that we call Hot Lips.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun.
It's the one of my bartenders came up with the recipe, and her nickname from one of our regular customers is hot lips. So
That's great. And I love that you jumped into all categories because I know, there's a lot of wineries around, they just have wine, or there's breweries, they just have beer. And sometimes they have a little bit of wine, a little bit of beer, whatever it might be. But I love that you have the cocktails too and the spirits. I mean, just really it's a one stop. Do you guys have food as well or charcuterie boards?
So we do charcuterie boxes, but then we also partner with the cafe next door and with the Mexican restaurant across the street. So anytime customers come in, they can either order online and they'll bring it to them, or they can call in and they'll bring it down to them. So we have a couple of food options. Bee Creek specifically does pizzas, Neapolitan style, that are very delicious. And then the Mexican restaurant's just, very traditional fare. They do a wonderful job. They've got great sauces. So we offer those and the charcuterie boxes. And then we tend to have pop-up chefs every couple of weeks. So like coming up, we have a brunch event for Father's Day, which I know is this weekend, but
That's okay.
And then at the end of the month, we actually have an all-you-can-drink mimosa event. We always do music bingo with these events. And then we have a crepe person coming in, a pop-up chef who makes crepes. So we just kind of, when we can source outside food, we bring them in. Every now and then we'll bring in food trucks too, or just, when the crowds are really big and we feel like we want to offer, a little something extra for people.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the variety. That's so cool. That's very cool. And I think you told me too that you have a wine club.
We do, yes. So we launched Wine Club actually in September prior to opening, just to kind of start getting the word out there, get our products out there, kind of show people the difference in what you're going to get from Barley and Vine as opposed to the grocery store. Or, as you mentioned, a lot of times breweries, they maybe have small selections of wine or they're just beer, right? And I very much wanted to launch a program that not only had fantastic craft beers, but also had fantastic wines available, because it seems like you can't get both, right? It's always one or the other. I'm going to have a great beer and a crappy glass of wine, or I'm going to have a wonderful glass of wine and a crappy beer, right? So we started back in September just to really kind of, get the word out, like these are the products we're going to be offering. We've definitely seen some solid growth in the last, I guess it's been 9 months of progress, but we're still growing, expanding. And, when we first opened to, a lot of our content was really focused on the bar and what we're offering here and what we're doing here. And so it took us a minute to get back to, let's go back to promoting our wine club. But we do once a month pickups, 2 bottles a month. You can pick 2 reds, 2 whites, 1 red, 1 white. You can do a sparkling upgrade if you want. All of these are things that we do not carry in our wine store. You're not going to find them in a grocery store. You're not going to find them in any wine bar in the area. Everything is specialty picked too for our wine clubs. So, and they come in and from all over the world. So we have 3 different levels. You can kind of do like the entry level where it's $35 a month and it's just kind of exploring, the world of wine. Our middle level is $65 a month, and it's more about like really looking at wines in a different way. So I always try and throw in like the funky, interesting ones, like a skin contact Chardonnay or like a pet nat, or something that's different, so people who maybe already have a little bit of a palate for wine can really expand that palate with some more options that are outside of what we usually see. And then our highest level is $90 a month, and it's the Grand Cru, and that's really solidly represents what you get. You're getting high-end wines that are from legendary winemakers or from legendary wine regions, or considered, highest rated wines coming out of selected regions, basically.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, it sounds like an amazing selection. So great job. Great job.
Thanks.
Well, I want to know then, it sounds like you would go more towards pouring wine in your glass. What is your favorite wine right now?
I am a bubbles girl to my core. So
Nice.
champagne is my jam.
Mm-hmm.
I do definitely think, though, it really depends on my mood. I feel like, white is for winding up and red is for winding down, is kind of the way I look at it. And that's
Mhm.
not everyone's viewpoint, but that's definitely personally for me kind of how I roll. So if I'm, hanging out, having a good time, there's bubbles in my glass for sure. If I'm sitting on the couch with my feet up and I've got Netflix on, it is a glass of red. I am chilling and winding down. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And then if you were going to drink a beer, what's your favorite kind of beer? Like, are you an IPA girl?
Um, let's see.
And if you're
Honestly,
not a beer, it's okay.
oh no, definitely a beer.
Okay.
I am. It's a mood thing. It just kind of
Okay.
depends. So, like when it's hot, I want a crisp lager. Um, we have a lovely beer called Nocturnal Dreams on right now, which is like a limoncello cream ale. It's
Ooh.
delicious. It's like this lovely citrus on the front, and then you get some of that creaminess in the middle, and then you have that finish of vanilla, but it's not sweet. It's this nice and crisp, and I love that one. Our Irish ale, I love that one. It's just, got some lovely roastiness to it, but still has just a crisp, lighter finish. Um, our IPA is really good right now too. I really enjoy that one. It's called Phantom IPA, so it's the bitterness and the hop on the finish isn't as overwhelming as your traditional IPA. It's called Phantom because it's kind of sneaky in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say though, any given day, if I'm like, oh, I just want to grab a beer really quick, it's probably a lager or like
Okay.
our Nocturnal Dreams or a sour
Yeah. Oh, I like a sour too. Yeah.
or a
Very
Hefeweizen.
good.
I love a Hefeweizen. Hefeweizen is a, yeah. So
It sounds like you don't discriminate.
I do not.
And given that this is spandex and wine, I want to know about your workout regimen.
Yeah. So I will tell you, I have been struggling a little bit to keep consistency lately. Obviously going through
Yeah.
a schedule and life change, and going from working daytime hours to working nighttime hours and then just working like, 70, 80 hours a week. So I have been slowly getting back into my routine. I really enjoy lifting. Lifting weights is my jam. I always do a little bit of cardio with that. So prior to opening Barley and Vine, I was a 4 to 5 times a week girl, solid like hour, my headphones in, my cardio session, my lifting sessions, kind of going through, my pyramids of lifting and then my cardio liftings. And um, now I'm like, if I can get some cardio in, it is happening.
Yeah.
So I'm not back to 4 or 5 days a week. I'm definitely, 2, 3 days a week. It's usually only about 45 minutes, but
Mhm.
I'm working on that balance piece again. So this month my goal is boundaries and balance. And so
Yeah.
bringing back some of those pieces for myself that make me feel happy and make me feel, better and not as stressed.
Yes. No, I totally get it. And I feel like if you're already figuring that out after just 7 months, you're way ahead of the game. It is a struggle, but I mean, too, it doesn't have to be 60 minutes. It doesn't have to be 45 minutes. If you just focus on one, maybe two muscle groups a day and you just get 12 reps in, okay, at least you got that. It's going to help you maintain.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And it just helps you feel better. I mean, the endorphins from exercise is, just so much more helpful than just kind of sitting there and stewing on, whatever. So, I'm getting in what I can and, it'll happen completely back to what I used to when I get there. But for right now, the process is just getting something in, being active. So,
Yes. Yeah. And it does have to be a big switch for you, like you said, going from days to nights.
mhm.
Does that mess with your sleep at all? How's that changed?
Um, no, not really. I mean, because I still have children. So, obviously when school was in session, we were up at 6:30 every morning still. So still doing that. And we close at 9 and 10 o'clock at night. So I'm getting
Oh,
home at,
good.
10:30, 11:30, maybe midnight. So it's not super, super late. It's definitely, on the weekends, I put a lot more hours in on the weekends too. And so the weekends are definitely, I feel a little bit more tired. But in general, like I don't sleep in very late. I wake up automatically anyway. So,
Yeah.
and my daughter's actually going through summer workouts right now. So 6 a.m. she's got to be at school for workouts. So yeah, so it keeps me balanced still though, and it keeps me, otherwise if I start sleeping in too late, then I feel like I'm not getting enough done in the morning. And then, it's bar hours and I'm behind the bar. So definitely trying to keep that like, up by at least 7 to keep myself balanced as well.
Yeah. No, I like the balance and boundaries. That's perfect. Can you
Mhm.
tease us with some things that are coming up this summer or fall?
Sure. So let me see. Actually, I pulled my calendar out so I could take a look here. Next month we have, oh my gosh, we have a lot of things. So we have,
Oh, in July. Okay.
yes, July. Sorry, I should have said that. We've got a pizza pairing next month. So we're going to bring in some Neapolitan pizzas, 2 different styles, 2 different glasses of wine, or 2 different beers. So you can kind of pick and really get to know that tasting experience. We also are doing a chocolate pairing and a cookie pairing next month in July.
Oh,
So,
fun.
um, and then particularly we're doing our chocolate pairing is bourbon chocolates. So
Oh my
really,
goodness.
yes. So, but we're going to pair them with wines. So, kind of, expanding outside of what would traditionally be the pairing, which would be the bourbon, obviously, or whiskey with it, but instead putting it with wines that can stand up to a little bit of that whiskey flavor. So, definitely looking forward to that. We've got an art show in July for a nonprofit who donates all of the proceeds back to an autism foundation, which we very much support and think is awesome. We're doing a bouquet making class, which is super fun. It's
Oh,
summertime and
yeah.
come out and do that. We've got a book and booze event where we've got some local authors coming and they're going to sign some books and people are going to have some booze and it's going to be super fun.
Gosh,
um,
that's great.
yeah, so there's just a lot. In August, we're doing hot summer nights. So we're going to shut the street down, live music. We've got one of our favorite pop-up chefs coming. He's going to make smash burgers and fries. We're probably going to do some bounce houses. I really want to we haven't officially done it yet. So if it doesn't happen, don't hate me. But our street is very, very hilly. So I want to
Hmm.
put a big, huge slip and slide in the middle of the street.
Oh my gosh, how fun is that?
Right. We'll see if it happens. I still have to, like get city permission and figure out what that looks like logistically. But that's definitely the goal for August for our hot summer nights. Just fun outdoor concert. We're really working to try and bring family friendly, community events to our downtown area at least once a month going forward too, so that we can, show the community that we're here, right? And
Yeah.
we want everyone to have fun. It's not just adult friendly fun, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that is so cool, so exciting, and congratulations again. I want you to share how everyone can find you and also share your location.
sure, yeah. So, our handle on Instagram and Facebook is at Barley and Vine PC. The and is spelled out. Our website is at barleyandvinepc.com. So same thing, and is spelled out. Everything is pretty much the same. Email, also the same, at barleyandvinepc or barleyandvinepc at Gmail. So that way it's easy for you to find us. Definitely give us a follow. We have a ton of events. We pretty much have an event almost every single day we're open. So our events calendars come out that way. We also have an email subscription list that gives people information in advance, kind of getting like the early preview of what's to come. We are located in Platte City, downtown portion of Platte City. So it's 246 Main Street. So if you actually go past the Quick Trip, which is what everyone stops in Platte City for, and come on down 92 Highway, it'll bring you to our downtown area. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks again for hosting the podcast. We're happy to be there. And it's just congrats on all the fun that you're sharing and spreading up there.
yeah, thank you so much. And thanks for having us. I love it. I can't wait for, for you guys to see the space and I'm really super stoked for your hula class.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be fun.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Laura.
All right, thanks. Have a great one.
You too. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt, but I want to make sure you're staying hydrated with these warm temperatures. If you're a subscriber to my newsletter, you read about my experience with dehydration. Not fun. Our show sponsor, Hugh and Grace, have a product I love called Hydrate and Detox. While the electrolytes are wonderful for summer days, my real draw to the product was the pre- and probiotics it contains. You've heard from so many of my guests about the importance of gut health. Prebiotics to promote the increase of friendly bacteria in the gut, and probiotics to promote a healthy balance of gut bacteria. It also has antioxidants and detoxifying ingredients. Perfect for all of you listening. Check it out on the show's special link at hughandgrace.com/spandexandwine. Both words, or all the words, spelled out. Okay, back to the episode. A big thank you to Laura for hosting us for the second stop of the summer tour, but also for sharing her time on the podcast and sharing her story. Very inspirational. It's clear that she's driven. She is creative, has great ideas. You need to check out Barley and Vine. And while I was there, I had the opportunity to talk to 3 different people, one individual that works for her, one that works next door, and one that is supportive. So you're going to hear all of those stories. Thanks, Melissa. That was awesome. And I appreciate you stepping away from behind the bar and sharing some time with all of us. And next up, we have Natalie that works in the pizza shop next door to Barley and Vine. Hey, Natalie, thanks so much for stopping by and sharing a little bit more about you and why you love Barley and Vine so much. I know that you're a regular, but I also know that you work next door. So what is it that you do? And then tell me about the wine that you love when you come over.
Hi, thanks for having me. I work next door at a cafe called Bee Creek Cafe and Bakery, and I make sourdough pizzas, and we collaborate with Barley and Vine Thursdays and Friday evenings. So I make the sourdough pizzas, and then we deliver them to Barley and Vine. It's made to order, Neapolitan style. And we did it so that we could find a way to work together with them. Bee Creek stays open for the sake of Barley and Vine, and then it works well for everyone because food to go around.
Yeah, and most wines are meant to be paired with food, so that's perfect. Yeah. And then when you're over here, like, what typically do you pour in your glass?
I am a very simple person. I always just ask for a glass of Cabernet or Malbec. That's my favorite go-to wine here.
Nice.
And they pretty much know without even having to ask me that's what I'm going to be asking for.
Okay, but today you have bubbles in your glass.
I do. I have been working all morning at the farmer's market in town, selling my bread next door, and I needed an energy boost.
Okay, I understand that. So aside from working then at the pizza place, do you do bread on your own? You said you went to the farmer's market, so tell me about that.
Well, I'm a vendor at the Platte City Farmers Market. I make all sourdough breads, bagels, granola. I sell sourdough starter for people to start it off on their own. And then in exchange for me doing all my baking in the commercial bakery, I will leave some of my bread out for Bee Creek to sell. And it's, again, like with Barley and Vine, it's a collaborative relationship, which is what I love so much about Platte City. Everybody works together. Everybody helps each other.
That's nice. That's awesome. And it's funny that you say that because I've been thinking about starting my own sourdough, but I didn't know how to get started. I know I'm kind of late. Everyone did it during 2020. And now I'm like, because I know that there's so many more health benefits to having sourdough bread than regular bread. So how can the listeners find you if they wanted to learn more? Do you have an Instagram handle?
Unfortunately, I don't. I'm terrible with
That's
social
okay.
media, but they can always find me at Bee Creek Cafe. I mean, you could just walk in and say, is Natalie around? And
yeah.
They'll find me somehow.
Okay, cool. Now, do you do classes?
I don't, but I do sell sourdough starter with a set of detailed instructions, and I'm always willing to talk people through the process because I believe that sourdough is so good for you that everybody should have access to it. It doesn't need to be this elitist category. Only the best can do it. But I started my own starter. I grew it myself at home years ago. Have always loved sourdough, and I think everybody should be able to do it. And if they don't have time for it, then they could come get bread from me.
Okay. Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Natalie was so cool to talk to, and I was serious about starting the sourdough bread. In fact, after that conversation, we talked for a little bit after that, and she agreed to be on the podcast. So there's going to be another episode with just her talking about sourdough bread, talking about the benefits. But I did tell her that before we had our interview, I wanted to get the kit and I wanted to try it. So then I could have that experience of starting it and share with you guys. So if that's something that interests you, then we can get you that information. I'll put that in the show notes. Next up, we have Brandon. Hey, Brandon, thanks so much for being here and agreeing to be on the podcast. I know that you're a friend of Laura's and a regular here at Barley Vine. So what makes Barley Vine so special to you?
I think what makes it special to me is that I've been friends with Laura for about 10 years. And I remember, about 3 years ago when Barley Vine was just kind of an idea. And we would sit and have our regular monthly lunches and gets-togethers, and we'd be talking and laughing and having all that stuff. And that whole time, I could just kind of hear her ideas and how stuff was coming together. And so it's been really exciting just kind of see all of it kind of come together. And the last year or so, it really become a thing. It started out as just something she would talk about, and it was always exciting to talk about. But then to show up and see it, and it's a real place, is amazing. And I remember coming in the first time. When they did the big opening night, I was pretty excited because it was just I was just so excited for her, just to see, her big dream that she'd been working so hard on, come true. And then to come in and see how beautiful it is and how it's just how welcoming it is and just the whole vibe. And then all the drinks have always been great. And she has such a great taste for wines and finding the right wine for the right person too. She went and did her sommelier test, and so she is a definite. I don't know, how would I say it? Supreme sommelier, I guess, in my book. She knows more about wine than I do, and she can sit and talk with you about what you like about wines, and then she can find the exact right wine for you, and everybody that works here has always been super friendly. So I would just say, literally, the most exciting thing about it to me has just been seeing the progression of it going from just being an idea to it becoming this full-blown thing, and coming in and seeing it packed with people, and it's just super. That's probably the most exciting thing for me.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. And I love how when you talk about that, someone else's dream coming to fruition, you just light up. And so having her surrounded by people like you I'm sure that's how all of this came about. So
I think so. I think she had my friend Jessica, who works here also, she and Laura used to teach together, and that's how they met, and that's how I met Laura, through Jessica. And so I think she's always had a really strong support system of people, which I think is important in any, in a business or making your dream come to fruition. But so much of it is you have to kind of drive yourself to do it. And she is a very driven person, and it's just, incredible to see.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. I just met her, but I love everything that she's doing. It's beautiful here. I can't believe that she's done all of this in 7 months and been so successful.
Right. It's mind-boggling. I know they usually say it takes a couple years for places to become
absolutely
successful enough, but word of mouth is crazy around here, and you just see every time I have come in on quieter days where it's nice and it's there's a handful of people. Then you come in on nights where they're doing live music or music bingo, or they have different tastings and stuff like that, and it's just wall-to-wall people, and that's just super exciting to see that happen for her and for Platte City also. It's kind of something I think that they needed to have here. Yeah. And nobody really realized it until it came into being, basically.
Yeah. No, it's a win-win for everyone. Okay, so just one last question then. So when you come, what is your favorite drink? What do you typically pour in your glass to make you happy?
Oh, I typically Laura would tell you that I've always been a dry red wine person. And so I usually have always gone with the Cabernet. And she always has usually a really good one on the shelf over there, and I usually end up taking a bottle or two home. I'll usually just let her be like, go pick a couple wines for me, and I'll take them home. The last couple times I've really gotten turned on by the cocktails, the new cocktail menu. It's really good. The whiskey sour called the Hot Lips is really good, and then they have a variation on the French 75 called the Lavender Haze. It's really excellent too. So the last couple times, since it's been a little bit warmer outside, I've kind of gone for the more cooler cocktails, but typically dry red wines for me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I'm so happy that I was able to catch you as we were headed out the door, because I can tell just by the smile on your face that you're a great supporter. And it's people like you that help small businesses succeed. So thank you on behalf of all small businesses.
Well, I kind of live in a smaller town, so I was kind of trying to support the smaller local businesses, because those are usually the ones you're going to get better food, you're going to get better drinks, you're going to get better service, and you might as well help them thrive too. So
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks for being here.
It was great meeting you.
Thanks, Brandon. I wish this was videoed, because if you could have seen Brandon's face when he lit up and he was talking about Barley and Vine, he was talking about Laura, it was just clear how supportive he was. And I think everyone needs a Brandon in their corner. I mean, truly, you could feel his excitement and his support. So that was awesome. I hope that you guys, if you're in the Kansas City area, you will go visit Barley and Vine. You will love the drinks. You'll love the atmosphere. It's a small town, but close to the city. So go check it out. I will put the information in the show notes. But when you go, make sure you tell Laura or whomever is working there that Robin with Spandex and Wine sent you. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to follow Spandex and Wine so you don't miss an episode. To do this, just go to the podcast and click subscribe or follow wherever you are listening. Look for the plus sign or follow button. This is one of the best things that you can do for the podcast. If you'd also be willing to give a 5-star review, that would be amazing and much appreciated. Lastly, please share an episode with a friend or 5 to keep the love going, and join the Spandex and Wine community in our private Facebook group by searching Spandex and Wine. Feel free to reach out to me at any time by emailing info@spandexandwine.com or text me at 913-392-2877. I appreciate you. Thank you.